Michael faces the dragon and his fallen angels. For any team to win, there must be a contest. Revelation 12 describes the ultimate battle between good and evil. The hosts of heaven take on the dragon and his angels. Does good eventually win? And war broke out in heaven. Michael the Archangel and his angels waging war with the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought, but they were not strong enough and did not prevail, and there was no longer a place found for them in heaven. Revelation chapter 12 verses 7 through 8. War broke out in heaven. God will turn the tide against Satan at the midpoint of the Great Tribulation, first in heaven, then on earth. Satan will be denied access to heaven as a result of a battle. While Satan is likely headed to hell, he is not presently there. It's common to see cartoons depicting Satan in a red outfit with a pitchfork and pointed tail. But such medieval folklore is hardly faithful to the biblical picture. In Job 1, Satan is mentioned as having access to heaven and visiting God's presence there. This brings us to Revelation 12, where the devil and his imps march on heaven, creating a cosmic spiritual conflict. As the dragon fought, he did not prevail. The Archangel Michael was God's champion and commanding general of God's forces. We read, Michael and his angels. The most well-known angelic being in the Bible is probably Michael, along with Gabriel. What exactly does Michael's role as an archangel entail? In what capacity does he fit into God's heavenly host? What has he accomplished? And what are his duties? Michael. That name begs the question, who is comparable to God? Many parents who name their sons Michael have no idea what the name means. Michael is introduced to us by the prophet Daniel. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. This is a dramatic scene of a battle between good angels and evil angels, faithful angels and fallen angels. Who fights in this battle? Satan represents the dragon, and Satan is not God's counterpart. God has no peer. Michael, the chief angel opposing this chief of fallen angels. Why is the battle fought? In a previous scene of conflict between Michael and Satan, Jude 9, Satan had faced Michael. Here is another occasion where Satan wants to get in the way of God's plan for the end times. Based on Daniel, Jewish people recognized Michael as their guardian prince, who would defend them from the angels of the other nations who sought to oppress them. Daniel chapter 10 verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was standing in opposition to me for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief of the celestial princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Michael could single-handedly ward off angels of other nations. Michael's power, however, had limits. He could not overstep his authority, and hence could not act against Satan himself without the permission of God. Moreover, he would be ordered to stand out of the way, so Israel could experience the final tribulation. Jude 9. But Michael the Archangel, when he disputed with the devil and argued about the body of Moses, did not dare pronounce against him an abuse of judgment, but said, The Lord rebuke you. Here, however, Michael and his forces cast down Satan's forces, symbolizing Christ's earthly victory in heaven. When is this battle fought? This battle happens at the midpoint of the 7 years, as described by Daniel. Daniel chapter 12 verse 1. Now at that end time, Michael, the great angelic prince who stands guard over the children of your people, will arise. And there will be a time of distress, such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. But at that time, your people, everyone who is found written in the book of life will be rescued. How is this battle fought? We know this is a real fight, but is it a material or a spiritual battle? Our battle with Satan and his demons is spiritual, fought on the battleground of truth and deception, of fear and faith. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, contending only with physical opponents, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly supernatural places. Regarding material attacks against the believer, Satan and his demons were disarmed at the cross. Colossians chapter 2 verse 15. When he had disarmed the rulers and authorities, those supernatural forces of evil operating against us, he made a public example of them, exhibiting them as captives in his triumphal procession, having triumphed over them through the cross. In his classic work Paradise Lost, the great poet Milton imagined this battle. Michael bid sound, the archangel trumpet, through the vast of heaven it sounded, and the faithful armies run. Hosanna to the highest, nor stood at gaze the adverse legions, nor less hideous joyed the horrid shock, now storming fury rose. And clamor such as heard in heaven till now was never, arms on armor clashing braid, horrible discord, and the madding wheels of brazen chariots raged. Dire was the noise of conflict. Overhead the dismal hiss of fiery darts and flaming volleys flew, and flying vaulted either host with fire. So under fiery cope together rushed both battle's main, with ruinous assault and inextinguishable rage. All heaven resounded, and had earth been then, all earth had to her center shook. Revelation chapter 12 verse 9. And the great dragon was thrown down, the age-old serpent who is called the devil and Satan, he who continually deceives and seduces the entire inhabited world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Immediately following Satan's defeat, and prior to his war against the church, a loud voice in heaven proclaims God and his people's victory over Satan the accuser. In verse 9, the dragon is identified as Satan, but in verse 10, he is described as the accuser, who brings charges against God's people. Satan refers to his identity, but accuser refers to his role in God's war against his people. Since believers triumphed over Satan, they are confident of victory, even though Satan continually accuses them. Their victory over Satan was based on three factors: the blood of the Lamb, their faithful testimony to Jesus, their faithfulness to Christ. A faithful testimony to Christ brings them victory in this spiritual war. We read, "So the great dragon was cast out." Throughout this verse, our spiritual enemy is referred to as dragon, the serpent of old, devil, Satan, and the one who deceives the whole world. These titles describe Satan as vicious, an accuser, an adversary, and a deceiver. We read, "He was cast to the earth." The Bible describes various falls of Satan, and Revelation chapter 12 verse 9 describes the second of these four falls. He fell from glorified to profane. Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 14 through 15. You were the anointed cherub who covers and protects, and I placed you there. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked in the midst of the stones of fire, sparkling jewels. You were blameless in your ways, from the day you were created until unrighteousness and evil were found in you. Satan went from having access to heaven to restriction to the earth.